Okay, so first I'm going to start out with the name check program, or what we call the FBI background and name check program. So as Ms. Kamakai mentioned in her presentation, the USCIS does require, or the law requires, that you have good moral character as a qualification for citizenship. So as part of the process of determining good moral character, the USCIS always conducts an investigation based on the biometrics or the ASC appointments that Ms. Kamakai also mentioned. So the investigation itself will consist of certain background and security checks, which usually go through the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. So when the FBI receives the request from the USCIS after you have obtained your biometrics, or after you've done your biometrics, the USCIS will send that information to several agencies, but in particular to the FBI, to do background and security checks. And so basically the name check must be completed typically before you are able to be scheduled for your interview, your naturalization interview. So when the FBI does their background check, they can come back with several responses after they completed the check. First, they can, of course, show that you do not have any criminal record or criminal history, no arrest. And keep in mind, arrests are also shown even if you might have actually, excuse me, your case might have been dropped if you've been arrested, but that arrest will still show. So regardless of what the outcome of your criminal case was, the arrest will show up on the FBI search. So that would be one of the outcomes that would happen there. Or, as I mentioned originally, I mentioned first, you might not have a record at all, which would be great. The last thing that could happen, which is rare, but it does happen, is that your biometrics have not been usable, or they're unclassifiable, which basically means that the FBI could not use those biometrics. They could not really find anything because the fingerprints were not usable. And in that case, the USCIS will typically ask you to provide police clearances from the places that you've lived for 6 months or more. So that's another step that may take place if your biometrics does not produce results at all. Either does not show that you do not have any criminal record, or that does not show any criminal background at all as well. So again, as I mentioned, USCIS also checks with other government agencies as well. So there's a very extensive background check that's being taken place. In some cases, it may take longer than usual. So in some cases, if your case is taking longer than expected, it may be because of an extended background check. It just does not come back from the other agencies. But once that background check has been conducted and completed, and a citizenship interview date is available, your citizenship application, a citizenship interview will be scheduled. One thing those of you who might have had an arrest in the past, you definitely would want to make sure that you get the records related to that arrest, so that you show what happened in that case. Because keep in mind, the FBI background check just shows that you were arrested or there was something that happened, but it does not necessarily show the outcome. So it's very important for you to get your criminal history either from the court where you actually process, whether the case was dropped or there was a decision made in that case. You need to make sure that you get a copy of that. If you're just unsure at all, you can, before you apply, you can also go to the website that I've listed here, which is an FBI website, where you can actually request for the FBI to provide you with a copy of your criminal history record. And that process will take 8 to 10 weeks to do, but that is an option for you to take. Okay, so the next I'm going to talk about getting qualified legal help today. You have a lot of great attorneys here that are available, but the time is short for the questions that you might have. And so if you need more extensive help, you might consider these different options, such as getting an attorney or a community representative, as was mentioned earlier. And that a community representative would be someone an organization that has been accredited by the Board of Immigration Appeals, where they've gone through a process. Board of Immigration Appeals is a government agency that actually does verify and go through a process to confirm that a representative can actually be qualified to represent you. So if you are going to seek representation, make sure that you are working with attorneys or accredited BIA representatives. If you're working with an attorney, particularly one that is barred in Texas or says that they are a part of the license in Texas, you can go to this website, www.texasbar.com, to verify that they are indeed barred in Texas. Now, attorneys don't have to be in Texas if they're practicing immigration law, or be barred in Texas to practice immigration law. So your attorney might be barred in a different or licensed in a different state, and you can go and check on those state websites to determine whether they are indeed licensed there. And then the BIA accredited representatives, the link I have here is the place where you can find those community representatives who are authorized to provide legal assistance. So if you do decide that you're going to work with an attorney or a representative, then what should that attorney do for you? Well, of course, the important thing is that they should thoroughly understand the facts of your case. So be ready to provide detailed information about your immigration history and any other pertinent facts that they ask for to determine what your options are, to advise you properly about the law, and then recommend your best options. That could be the extent of the representation that you get from the attorney. But if you decide that you want more, then what attorneys could also do for you is to actually represent you before the government, be the voice for you, monitor your case, speak with the government if necessary, if there are issues with your case, and of course, prepare and review all of the legal applications, documents that are necessary to make sure that you have a really good case before the government. So even if you do accept or work with an attorney, make sure that you do understand that you need to protect yourself, because you are ultimately the applicant. So if you're working with a legal representative, make sure that when you get an application that's prepared by a legal representative, you read it thoroughly, you make sure that the information is correct. If you do not believe something is correct, then speak up and don't sign it. Or if you don't understand it, then certainly ask your representative to clarify those things for you. And also make sure you get copies of your full application, because your application will be referred to at your interview, and you will be asked to verify that information. So make sure that you have a copy so you're well prepared before you go into your interview. And as always, ask questions of your attorney and keep informed decisions, because that's what they're there for. So thank you so much for attending the workshop. I look forward to meeting some of you in the breakout room, and good luck with your cases. Thank you.